After a pitiful 1-11 season in 2022, Colorado hired Deion Sanders. And there was no doubt that Deion Sanders was going to move up to the FBS level eventually. But I feel like it's at least too soon for him to be at a Power 5 program. I felt like he could have been better off going to a Group of 5 school. South Florida, for example, it was rumored that he had interest in South Florida, and it was a mutual interest. I thought that could have been the better fit for him. Build a couple winning seasons in South Florida, make yourself look like that attractive Group of 5 head coach that's on the rise. But he is at Colorado. And to tell you the truth, this hire by Colorado to me, it's a stunt hire. It is a publicity stunt to hire Deion Sanders. Because the one thing that you get with a name like Deion Sanders is you get recruits, more specifically the transfer portal. As 24/7 has Colorado ranked number 1 in the transfer portal rankings, as they have had a total of 51 commits from the transfer portal alone, and a few that stick out. 5-star Travis Hunter, his son Shedeur Sanders, both were with Jackson State, so they moved along with him. Former Alabama linebacker Demoye Kennedy, and one that sticks out to me that I can't wait to see this season, former Houston running back Alton McCaskill. In 2021 for Houston, he had 189 carries, 961 yards. He averaged over 5 yards per carry, 16 touchdowns. He also had 21 catches for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns. So those are just 4 of the 51 commits from the transfer portal. And Deion Sanders he's basically expressed arrogant and narcissistic behavior ever since he became the head coach of Colorado. He has not even been the head coach of Colorado for 8 to 9 months yet. And he's acting like he's one of the best coaches in college football. He hasn't done anything yet. In the last 2 years, he's been to the HBCU championship. The SWAC championship, I should say. And he got outcoached in both of those games. And at least in last year's Celebration Bowl game, he wore shades, which is the behavior of an arrogant narcissist, if you ask me. And he's already worried about merchandise. He's worried about the brand. He's not worried about getting a team together. As you have a team filled with transfer portal guys, at least half the roster, if not more than that, is guys in the transfer portal. How does he expect this team to gel right away? Well, spoiler alert, they're not. And if you look at Colorado's schedule this season, there is no way that they're going to gel in time for the season to begin. Because if you just look at how brutal Colorado's schedule is to begin the year. Week 1 at TCU. The TCU that just came off the national championship game. And that TCU team is going to be fired up. Because the last time we saw TCU, they were getting embarrassed in the national championship game by Georgia. Then the next week, the first home game for Deion Sanders against Nebraska. But let's just face it, it's going to be a road game for Colorado. As I anticipate, just like it always is when it's Nebraska and Colorado, it's going to be filled with red. Then in week 3, at home against Colorado State, they might beat Colorado State. At Oregon the next week. USC at home the next week. Then on October the 7th, at Arizona State. And that was reportedly supposed to be a week 0 game, but I don't know which commentator from the championship game ruined it, whether it was Kirk Herbstreit or Chris Fowler, but one of them ruined it by announcing it. October 13th, Friday the 13th against Stanford. Then the 28th, after a bye week at UCLA. Then we start off November at home against Oregon State. At home against Arizona. That is Senior Day. Then their finals games of the year on the road at Washington State on November the 17th and November the 25th at Utah. And I have seen a lot of people getting hyped about Colorado. I've seen people on social media all off season saying that Deion Sanders is getting dogs in the transfer portal. Deion Sanders is going to get Colorado the Pac-12 championship. Deion Sanders is going to do this, this, and that. Deion Sanders is going to put Colorado on the map. Well, yeah, he's putting Colorado on the map, at least for me, because Colorado is relevant enough for me to talk about. Or Colorado's going to go to a bowl game this year. Well, you need 6 wins for that. And looking at this schedule I just listed off, where do you think Colorado's going to get 6 wins from? Let's go through them again. At TCU. Now, I'm not predicting these games necessarily, but if I had to predict, if they were facing off this week, I would pick TCU to win. Not only because I think TCU is going to be fired up to play this game, but Colorado's team is not even coming together yet. They're still learning who each other are. They still got like several bowling nights. They got several team dinners to get to know each other. They don't even know each other on a personal level yet. At home against Nebraska. I am leaning towards Nebraska winning that game. Although Colorado, they have beaten Nebraska, I believe 3 of the last 4 times they've squared off against each other. But I'd lean towards Nebraska winning that. At home against Colorado State. Let's just say Colorado State, they get dominated by Colorado. Let's just say they beat Colorado State. So there's 1 win. But you got 5 more to go. At Oregon. On paper, they should lose to Oregon and USC as well the next week. So they are 1-4 going into the month of October. At Arizona State. I will be honest. If this is a day game, I think Colorado, they've got a strong chance to win this game. But if it's a night game at Arizona State, I'm taking Arizona State in that one. Against Stanford. Well, Stanford has a new coach as well. Stanford, they have not been relevant since the CMC days. So let's just say they do beat Stanford. That's 2 wins. They could beat Stanford. At UCLA. I don't think they beat UCLA. Oregon State at home to start November. Oregon State, I think, could be the surprise team of the Pac-12 this season. As I think Oregon State, I think the ceiling for Oregon State is higher than what most people are saying. Arizona at home, they might beat Arizona, but I'm not sure how much Arizona is going to be improved by the time we get to that game. So they could beat Arizona State, at Washington State, and at Utah. On a Washington State, that could be a close game, but right now, I'd probably pick Washington State to win that game. And at Utah, Utah is coming off of the Pac-12 championship last season. So there's no doubt in my mind I think Utah wins this game. So the potential ceiling for Colorado here is probably 3 wins at the most. And the floor, worst case scenario, probably just 1 or 2 games. If I had to guess, if this team can gel, maybe the ceiling for Colorado could be 4-8, 5-7, but I'm not going to count on that until I actually see this team gel. And if I had to guess, maybe after the Stanford game when they go into their bye week, maybe that's when the team is going to finally come together. But that is all I have for Colorado. Deion Sanders expressing narcissistic and arrogant behavior like he's one of the best coaches in college football when he hasn't done anything at the FBS level yet. Wearing a cowboy hat to the spring game. Absolute arrogant, narcissistic behavior. But that's enough, in a way, you could call it just bashing Colorado, but it's just honestly my honest observation.